My name is Fernando Sitchos Jimenez. I'm the Secretary General of the European Builders Confederation since 2022. The European Builders Confederation, EBC, represents, promotes, and defends the interest of micro, small construction companies and crafts.
So my name is Emmanuel Coz. I'm the General Secretary of the International Union of Property Owners. We are an umbrella association with 31 organizations in Europe of private property owners. And we represent homeowners, co-owners, small landlords, and also in some countries, larger real estate companies, both in the residential and non-residential sector.
I'm Domenico Campogrande. I'm the Director General of FIEC, which is the European Construction Industry Federation. Today we represent 32 national member federations from 27 different countries. And via these member federations, we represent construction companies of all sizes.
SMEs in construction often find themselves navigating a maze of separate initiatives that don't always work together. In this context, digital building logbooks, DBLs, could serve as a centralized solution that brings together all the crucial building-related data and insights into a single accessible instrument. The main benefit could be to facilitate the access to data that is crucial for owners, building owners, construction companies, authorities alike, to make it easier to decide which way to go in a construction or renovation project.
So if you look at buildings like as if it was a large jigsaw puzzle, digital building logbooks are what will bring all the pieces of the puzzle together, because they are defined as a common repository of all relevant data related to the building, including its energy performance certificates, renovation passports, smart readiness indicators, and so on and so forth. And therefore, we see these digital building logbooks as also as the main link, the main connection between all the EU construction-related initiatives for the green transition, such as the revised construction product regulation, the eco-design regulation, the new energy performance of buildings, including the taxonomy, EU taxonomy as well.
The main benefit of the digital building logbook is really to centralize all building-related information and thereby make things more efficient and ease access to information. And from our perspective, the digital building logbook can really help to efficiently streamline permit process, and also to enable to access all building-related information, and thereby it helps to assist the owners with their paperwork, administrative actions, but also help them in renovating, maintaining, and the day-to-day management of their buildings.
For us, DBLs also allow the continuous tracking of a building's history. That could also enter into this need to reach the objectives of the European Union of promoting energy efficiency and sustainability. We know that most of the buildings are considered energy inefficient, and DBLs could offer a thematic approach to collect, track building performance and guidance renovation efforts.
Access and retrieve all building-related data can be challenging, especially after change of ownership. So building owners are not necessarily know the type of material that have been used in their property, when and how it has been renovated. Of course, having a centralized repository when you have all building data is an advantage, but is also the biggest risk and the biggest concern. The big question for owners is who has access to the data and for which purpose. So data access to data, data privacy, and data security are really key question for our members.
One of the major challenge is related, I think, to the data protection and data ownership. Each project means gathering, transferring, sharing all kinds of data between applications and between users, and therefore companies will be willing to do so only if they can be sure that sharing such data will not compromise their own competitive advantage or that it will be misused by third parties.
The main challenge encountered by construction SMEs, small construction companies regarding data is first the easy collection of data, which is not natural to small construction renovation companies, and the data fragmentation and compatibility issues. The SME's core business in construction is the operational and pragmatic tasks in a project. Collecting and reporting data are not their cup of tea. Plus, the tools that exist today still very often are really thought for new construction, while renovation is the main activity of most of small construction companies and is now one of the big priorities regarding the renovation of the existing building stock.
A second important challenge is the fact that data related to building nowadays is often not available or maybe not easily accessible. So this is something that needs to be addressed. And maybe thirdly also is that we certainly need to define appropriate open standards and interfaces in order to allow the sharing of information, the sharing of data in an open, but at the same time in a protected environment.
So having to navigate data that is scattered across disparate systems, different formats, consumes time, as well as the already limited human and financial resources of the overwhelming majority of micro companies in construction. This fragmentation complicates collaboration with the rest of the value chain, with clients. It hinders the decision-making process, and actually it slows the operational efficiency. So compatibility issues are brought by very different systems that today are not streamlined to a certain level to make it talk to each other, communicate to each other, and it leads also to training challenges, data silos, and inefficient workflows.
Probably one of the main help that it will provide is to foster precisely the development of adequate strategies and legislative framework. I think that will be the main, probably the main help that digital building logbooks could provide to these challenges.
By adhering to common data and formats and integration methods, DBL can ensure interoperability with existing systems, which then would help mitigate data fragmentation, compatibility issues, while smoothing the learning and training process related to digital construction. Adhering to existing standards would streamline data management processes, which then would enhance the quality of the data collected, the reliability of the data connected, and foster a better collaboration flow among the value chain and with clients.
Already, the digital building logbook can help to address some of the challenges, so administrative challenges, maintenance, renovation challenges. So that's one thing. But in my view, for the digital building logbook, in order to help the owner to address all these challenges, it needs to be tailor-made for the owners. Well, the main barrier to implement the digital building logbook is really to get, I think, the trust of the owners. They should see this as a useful tool and not an additional red tape. And in order to do that, maybe we should opt for a voluntary logbook, which is done already in several member states, or really a logbook that is free of charge.
Well, first of all, if we look at the uptake of digitalization in general in construction, there is certainly a lack of awareness as to the benefits and the opportunities that it can provide. And therefore, something needs to be done in this respect.
The primary obstacle hindering the use, the implementation of digital building logbooks for both industry stakeholders and homeowners is the issue of digital literacy, which is very prevalent among construction SMEs. This lack of proficiency in digital skills can potentially transform DBLs from valuable tools into administrative burden, especially when collecting and interpreting complex building-related data.
We see that there is an apprehension on how our public authority might use the information they get from the digital building logbook. So if we want to have a successful logbook that is also ready for the market, we need to take into consideration this concern, on top, of course, of all the data related aspects that I mentioned earlier.
DBLs should be accessible to all relevant stakeholders. If they're not accessible to user-friendly interfaces with intuitive functionalities tailored to the needs of the main users, if it's not an easy-to-use experience, the challenge of the digital literacy, of the digital interest, will be even more, it will increase basically. So, considering all the evolutions that we're now facing on a day-to-day basis, cloud-based solutions, mobile applications could maybe enhance the accessibility to allow owners and SMEs to access building-related data anytime, anywhere.